Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I am here with Mark Lamoth from American Bath Group. I'm Jordan Torpy. I'm a product marketing manager here at Content.ai, and today we're going to talk about American Bath Group's story with Content.ai. So, Mark, it'd be great if you could start by telling us a little bit about American Bath Group, who you are and what you do there.
Well, American Bath Group is an umbrella company. We have, I think it's somewhere around 27 brands, maybe 45 or 50 websites. So it's a big corporation, 1.6 billion in annual sales, 1.6, 1.7, somewhere around there. It's a big company. I've been with the company for 13 years. I worked with one of the brands in the beginning before it was bought 4 or 5 years ago from American Bath Group bought the Max brand. I was working for the Max brand at that time. And they bought us essentially for our marketing expertise, if you want. And we were very customer centric. And so that's what we're continuing to do. I've been working in the marketing department for the last 12 years as a project manager and then a CMS systems administrator, which is essentially website technology, if you want. So I take care of everything technical on the website side.
Sure. Yeah. So maybe you can tell us a bit about the setup at American Bath Group before you switched to Content.ai. How was content managed, and how is it working for you?
Okay, so the way the content was managed was we were managing everything in our CMS. So everything that we pushed to our website came from our CMS, but it was duplicated from other places. Either we were duplicating all of the assets from our servers, all of the content was in, all of our marketing content was within the CMS, but then the assets were on our servers, and the product information was coming from our ERP at the time. So it was very monolithic. Everything came into the CMS and everything was there, and then we pushed out to our websites. So, and it was difficult because we needed very specialized back-end developers, .NET developers, to be able to push out the information to the websites every time we wanted to deploy. Then it was a very long process. It took almost a week, from we have these 2-3 things that we built out on our development platform, and now we want to push it out to production. It would take forever. So it was very shoddy. It was very hard. We were getting, our websites were getting attacked. We had to bring in Cloudflare to be able to, turn on that security. But even then it was difficult, and we were still getting attacks every time we would flip the switch back on to low, and then we were not on high security anymore. Then we'd be attacked again, and so on and so forth. I don't want to get too much into the weeds there, but
sure,
that's what was happening. And so at one of our meetings, one of our group meetings, our annual meetings, there was a question that was asked, and if you were to do anything different, how would you do it? And that's where the light was turned on onto, well, I wouldn't do it this way, that's for sure. So that's where we learned a little bit more about Jamstack and Content.ai as being a CMS, which we headless, and we could bring in other headless systems into that stack, and that's where it all started.
Yeah, and so had you known much about the kind of headless approach to things, or this composable approach to content management before? Or was it new to you?
It was absolutely new to me. I had no idea that this existed before we brought this in. I'm not a developer. I'm more of I'm a manager. I manage the teams. So I didn't know anything about this until our lead architect and our outsourcer So our lead developer and our outsourcer came to me with a proof of concept going, oh, here's our proof of concept on Jamstack. And I went like, oh, what brought this on? Well, you remember when we talked about if we were going to do this different and you said you wouldn't do it the same way? Well, here's another way we could do this. And that's where that came in. I knew nothing about it, but then when they showed it to me, I was like, wow, okay, now we got to show this to the brass and we got to go one step further with this. And we got to bring this to the next level, because if you were able to do this in a couple of weeks, then what can we do in a year? You know, we can completely turn this train that we could not stop because it's a monolithic system and you can't stop it. We can completely turn this around. We can stop, turn it around within this amount of time. Perfect. And when we did put the gears in motion and we said, okay, let's kick off this big project, I need for us in 1 year or 1.5 years to be able to turn off our infrastructure, you know, to be able to do this and do that and be able to bring in these systems. Okay, we're looking at a DAM system right now. We're looking into a PIM system. Are we going to be able to use this within our composable stack? And the answer was yes to everything. And I was like, okay, this is where we need to go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm curious, was there some kind of mindset shift required switching to a composable approach? Was that tough to do, or you know, once you saw it, did it make sense immediately?
I think it made sense immediately, just because of that small proof of concept that we had. In a sense, we're taking the assets from here, we're taking the data from here, and we're putting it in here, and look what gives. And if you're not happy with this system, swap it out for another system that does the same thing. And I was really happy with it. I could sell it because I was happy with the way I was happy with what I was seeing. I was ecstatic. I was like, okay, so I don't want this, I can use this instead. I don't want them, I can use another platform. If I don't like it, if it's not the right choice for us, we can choose something else and just swap it out, like I was swapping out a piece of ham in my sandwich. Yes, okay, perfect. That's what I don't want a ham sandwich, remove the ham, put bologna. You know, I don't want bologna, take the bologna out, put chicken. You know, and it's great. That was not a hard sell at all. And once it was not a hard sell to me, and since I believed in it, I was able to sell it higher up in the food chain as well.
Sure. And what about you know, going lower down to the content creators, the people who are updating the content on the web? Do you know what the change was like for them?
Going to content AI from a monolithic system like Sitecore was a little bit challenging, but not any different from learning any other CMS system. The challenge was really getting people to open their minds and be accepting of we're gonna make a big change here. It was cool in the sense that before we even started, said content AI has like this super place where you can go and learn. So I got everybody on the team, let's go and learn together. Everybody went and learned together. We went through all the courses that we could take on this content, and then we were introduced to content. We did the learning, and then we're introduced to here's how we are going to use content, and here's how this works. And you know, we're about, I don't know, we're about 2 years down the road now, and 2.5 maybe, and it's fantastic. It's amazing. It's amazing because nobody wants to go back now that we know. And now that we know the way this works, we're not going to go back to where we were. We're going to continue going forward. And even now, 2.5 years down the road, we're continuing to build on what we have within Content AI. We have some more components that we want to build out. Well, we're building out new components, you know, a new way of looking at things, and within the same system. And it's like, oh, this is what Jamstack is. This is what a headless system is. This is how, okay, we can separate this from this. It's just amazing the way it's been going for us.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I'm very happy to hear that it's working out well. maybe can we talk about what happened once you actually implemented Content AI? Or, what it looked like for you and your team, and how things worked out?
What the Content AI looked like, the way it's set up in a sense for us, it was user friendly in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
We looked at this and we saw we saw our preview on one side and we clicked on another tab and then we saw what the back end looked like. We were more used to working with the back end since we were on that monolithic system, but it was difficult to see the preview, like you couldn't see both at the same place and you weren't getting that real-time transactional thing going on. So you're building something out, but you're not quite seeing what you're doing. On Content AI, you can do both at the same time. You can see what you're doing as you're doing it. It appears there, right there. It's right in front of your eyes, and what you see is what you get, kind of thing. And we the team loved it the way that was working. I think that the more we did it, the more we wanted to learn, and the more we wanted to try out different things. It was very basic at the beginning, but as we were going forward, we're can I use this way? Can I do this? Can I do that? Everybody was learning at the same time, and that's what the trick was for us anyway.
Yeah. And I know American Bath Group has a lot of brands, a lot of different websites. Does Content AI help with, keeping content for those websites separate, or managing governance between those websites? Or
it's really easy, because if you want one user to have access to one website, everything's there, but you don't have access to everything. An administrator sees everything, has access to everything, but I can give access to a certain user to one website, but not the other website. Oh, I want you to do SEO over here, but I want you to be able to also do content on the other website. So it's very manageable, very easy to implement. Users on your websites, and you want someone else to come in to add to the team or remove from the team, it's very straightforward and very easy to use.
Yeah.
And content is very reactive and proactive. If you ask a question, you get an almost immediate answer. So we love it for that as well.
Yeah, that's also nice to hear. Did you see any kind of uplift after switching to Content AI? Any kind of metrics you can point to say, here's what improved, or even just
yeah, that's where the smile comes from. We could see it right away. The speed of it showing up, the speed of the SEO was already spiking. As soon as we turned it on, the SEO started spiking. Like we'd see like a shift in numbers automatically, and we were like, okay, is this COVID or is this content? But we know that it's content. The speed of execution of the website is lightning fast. It's just the way we set everything up. So when you have the right vendors, the right software in place, you can see those changes. And yeah, and the speed, but also the savings that we saw were phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's, again, nice to hear. One thing that stood out to me when you were talking about what it looked like before you switched was there was a lot of duplicated content, content duplicated across the CMS. Did that change for you at all, or is there still duplicated content?
No, absolutely. Right now, the way we work, there is absolutely no more duplicated content. So we have data contracts that we call, fed from our ERP system and fed also for the marketing side. We go in and we feed information for marketing. So we have one PIM system feeding our websites for all of websites that are on our stack, as well as one DAM system feeding all of the assets. So if an asset changes in the DAM system, it will change on our websites. If product data changes in our PIM system, it will change on our website. We work with APIs through from our systems to Content AI, and that shows up. Sometimes it shows up the next day, sometimes it's instantaneously. It depends on what it is. But we do push out every night to our websites. So it's really way different than from what it was before. Way different because of that duplication. It's just human error was just too much of a risk. You know, it was always happening.
Yeah.
And now if human error happens, it's because it happened at the base at the base product data level, and not, you know, in between somewhere where somebody would have to duplicate it. So that human error is reduced, you know, 50, 70, 80, 90%.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So I imagine maybe some of the people listening are people who are, you know, suffering with a monolithic system right now, and looking for some kind of alternative. Do you have any tips for people who are thinking about switching to a headless or a composable approach? Is there anything you'd suggest to them?
What I would suggest is find the right partner, find the right software, find somebody who will listen to you, find somebody who will listen to what your problems are and what you're trying to fix. You know, be open-minded in a sense. Be open-minded. Be that innovator within your company. And if you don't believe in it, then nobody else will believe in it around you. You know, you have to believe in this is possible. And I'm telling you, as someone who's been through it, it's possible to go from that monolithic system, you know, that train that there's no way you're going to stop it. Well, there is a way to stop it and turn it around. There is a way to do that. It exists out there. So find the right partner who believes in you and you believe in them, and you can do anything. Once that's achieved, you can do anything.
Any sort of like I don't know, gotcha things you want to watch out for, or anything you need to be careful about when you're you know, thinking of making this kind of switch?
Be careful about I would say be careful about what you ask for, because you might just get it. But be careful as well as be mindful of what you're doing. Be mindful of those. You know, there's a lot of moving parts. So and a lot of people are like going after your business and going after they're wanting to. There's a lot of marketing pitches out there. What I was preaching eventually was like, I don't want to hear marketing pitches anymore. I don't want, is this going to work for me? What does it do? What does your system do? I don't want to hear your marketing pitch, because that's just BS. You know, what I want to hear is, what is this going to do for me? So be careful of those people that come in and that want to sell you something, but you know, sometimes it doesn't work for you. But you are also able to switch it up if you want to. And that's where the Jamstack comes into effect. The way your stack is built, the composable system is built so that you can compose. You know, you can remove one piece and replace it with another. That's what it's built for. So yeah, be careful of that. Be careful of the costs. You know, what is this costing me? You know, be careful of that. There are solutions that cost less out there, and that can be just as secure, just as flexible, just as fast to market as others. So be careful of that. Be mindful of that.
Sure. Another thing I'm curious about is you mentioned that, you know, one of the great things about composable is you can switch things in and out. There's not so much lock-in with the vendors. Is that something that happens often? I don't know about often, but
I wouldn't say it happens often. It actually, normally when you choose the right software, it doesn't happen.
Sure.
But it can happen because, in a sense, when you have that possibility to take a piece out and replace it with another piece, then you're not in a lock anymore. You're not in a vendor lock. You're not in a system lock. You're not in a software lock. And the vendors and the systems and the software people, they know that you're not in a lock because you're on this stack, because you're on this kind of, they will treat you right and they will listen to you when you do have a problem, because they know you can pull out, they know you can switch. Like, that's all you need. It's not to be it's not to be a ball buster with your vendors. It's not that. It's because you don't want to be locked in. You don't want them to have you by the cojones there. You want to be like, you want to be flexible. You want to be able to say, well, you're not providing what I needed you to provide, so I'm sorry, I'm going to go with this other vendor. And that's what the composable system is all about. It's all about being able to have the right software to do the right job.
Yeah.
And that for me was the number one thing, because everybody can do everything, but you need one software to do one thing and do it right. That's the way I see it. And so with that composable system, that's what a DAM does, what a DAM is supposed to be. It's not a CMS, it's not a PIM. A PIM, it does what a PIM is supposed to be. It's not a CMS and it's not a DAM. And the CMS, the content CMS, does what a CMS is supposed to do. It's not a PIM, it's not a DAM, even though it can be. That's not their forte. Their forte is being a CMS system, and they do that well.
Mm-hmm. So you're a firm believer in this best of breed approach?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am. That's the way I want it to be. And even though you make a decision on a software and maybe it's not the right one, but at least you know that down the road, if it's not doing what you want it to do, then you can switch it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
not easy. It's not easy. It's not free, but you can do it. And it's doable in a sense where you don't need to be, you're not disrupting your whole business. Like, if I want to switch out my PIM system tomorrow morning, I can start, and I'm not disrupting the business because I keep working with the PIM system I have, and I build a PIM system on the side, a second PIM system, and I can test it out, you know, on my stage or on my dev environment. I would be able to test it out, and so that's what's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
So if you're not happy with something, you can swap it out.
Yeah. No, I think that's really, really well said. So I think we can probably open it up to some questions and answers now. We might have some questions from the audience, and I'd be happy to hear them and, you know, have a little bit more of an open discussion with them. But thank you, Mark, for your time today, and I've really enjoyed this chat.
Thank you, Jordan. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, so it looks like we have a few questions here. Let's start with this one here. So we heard a lot about kind of the back end of going headless, but what about the impact that going headless had on your customers? Is there anything?
The impact on the customers was minimal, Jordan, because they didn't see us switch over. It was a DNS switch. Like, we built it on the side, so the impact was just a positive impact once we had launched the website for our customers. It was seamless in a sense that we went from one website to another one, which was quicker and based on a different system. But it was just better for the customer because the website became instantaneously faster.
Great. And here's something that I think is a question a lot of people have about going headless, and that's about taking care of the front end. So what was that like for you? Did you have any concern about the front end?
No concerns there. No, because it was on JavaScript, right? So not a concern for us. Even it's easier. You don't need those special developers, you know, those .NET developers that we had on our monolithic system. We didn't need those. So it was easier for us to find people to help us with that front end. So less of a hassle in that sense. So yeah, a lot easier.
Yeah, great. You also mentioned you know, some of the security challenges you had with a monolithic system. Could you say something about the benefits you saw when you switched
the benefits there were the security issues. I guess they went away instantaneously. We didn't need Cloudflare anymore in place. We went from being a dynamic website to being a more static website in that sense, where we push out information every day or on a need basis. So it's kind of like a static. I guess my developer could explain it better than I can, but yeah. So it's a static website. So there's no security issues, practically none. It's zero. So yeah, to me a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's great. You mentioned a bit about training. Could you say, some of the other ways you prepared your team for
Yeah,
the transition to
before we
headless?
moved to the system, we had that proof of concept, right? We were able to show the team how we did this, and then what the move was going to be, and we got them trained up on content even before we started building the first website with the team. So we got the team in there. We went all to learn, as I said earlier, we went all to learn at the same time. Everybody learned the system at the same pace, and we were ready to go once the system came out. Well, with our developers showing us the ropes a little bit of how they built the proof of concept. Here's how we're going to build our first website, and let's go do this. And everybody was ready to do it. And Content has an amazing learning platform. So yeah, really fun.
Great. Maybe there's one more here about the channels you're using. So, one of the benefits of headless is publishing to multiple places. Are you publishing to multiple places with
Great question. We are publishing to multiple places, not just our, I guess it's now 16 or 17 websites on the platform, but we're also publishing out to a kiosk, a physical kiosk that we're putting in stores soon. I think it's going live this week or next week. We have an app, a mobile app. We have a 3D configurator that we push out to as well. So yeah, multiple places that we push out to.
That's great. Yeah, love to hear it. I think we've hit the questions from the audience. I don't know if there are any more questions coming in now. Do you have any parting thoughts about going headless, about Jamstack, composable, anything you want to share with the audience?
Pick your vendor. Pick your vendors wisely. Our vendor, our developing team, is a vendor team, and we pick them wisely. They treat our money as it was their money, and that makes a whole bunch of difference. Pick those softwares wisely. Like when we were caught with that monolithic system, it was hard to maneuver within that system. Now it's a lot less difficult to maneuver, and we have fun every day working together, our partners and us. So yeah, if you pick your partner wisely, you get to have fun every day.
Yeah. And we should mention Konobos here too, who's your implementation partner here. A big thank you to them as well. We have a new question coming in here. Let's see. Has it been easier to test your site with Content.ai, and what's that experience been like?
Within Content.ai, I wonder what test your site with Content.ai. Test in which way? A/B testing, or I'd have to have more.
If you want to share any more details about this question in the chat, please feel free. So I'm not sure from what angle.
So mainly functionality. Okay, yes. Yes, it's a lot easier because we have a staging environment and we also have a preview before we go live. So a lot easier to test. The way we set it up is easier to test in that sense. And we can test our functionality. Our users can test, if you want to add a component to a page, they just add the component to a page on the staging environment, and they're able to see what that does. If there's an error there, they can just push it up to the development team and say, look, I'm trying to do this and there's a mistake. So yeah, a lot easier, a lot simpler. Thank you.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. Okay, well, I think we've hit all of our questions. really thank you again for the session. It
Thank
was
you,
really
Jordan.
nice
Thank you
hearing
for
from
having
you
me.
and speaking with you. Yeah,
All
thanks
right.
again. So have a great rest of your day. And we'll share this recording with everyone who's in the webinar now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Great. Thank you. Bye.